What is up, guys? Max here, and welcome back to Filmit.io. Today, we're looking at GridMaker from the Filmit Studio suite. Now, this is GridMaker V2, a new version of GridMaker. Now, if you're familiar with the tool, we have quite a few new features to go over. Now, for this demo, I am going to go quite fast to go over all the features in a timely manner. Otherwise, look out for more videos to get really granular on how everything works. Now, to install GridMaker, it's super easy. Just install it through the Filmit Studio desktop application. You can download it through your dashboard. It'll be right here in your My Tools section. Just click the install button. You can click it open right here and install at the bottom. Report a bug or request a feature or join Discord. And just like any of our tools, GridMaker is included with the suite along with everything else. Credits is one of my personal favorites, and we're constantly releasing new tools and updates. So stay tuned for more. And like I said, the entire suite is included. I'll link it all down below. You can try it for free today. Now, once you've installed GridMaker, super easy. Just go to Window, Extensions, GridMaker, and it opens up right here. Now, at its heart, GridMaker is our grid making tool. We have not changed the standard mode of GridMaker. It functions as intended. You highlight your footage, and you can grid your footage very quickly inside of GridMaker. You can choose columns, rows, or set your custom grid. Now, the real demo is in advanced mode. So with GridMaker open, I'm going to click advanced mode. This opens up a new mode inside of GridMaker, which is much more granular and fine-tuned for creating pretty crazy stuff. So off the bat on the left side, you'll see a toolbar with all kinds of options, everything from your standard grid modes to all your animation tools. We can do flat grids, we can do 3D spatial grids, or path-based grids. Now, in a nutshell, all you have to do is create the grid you'd like, select your layers and apply to selection, or create a new comp. So for instance, if I want to create this 3D spatial grid, I don't want to apply any footage. I just want to create a new comp. I click Create New Comp, and it builds it directly in After Effects just like that. All the tiles are pre-composed. It also generates a controller for you where you can change the radius, size, and corners, and everything is a pre-comp to slide footage in. Now let's quickly go over some features. So in flat mode, we have this button called Composer. It's basically just presets that we put together for everybody. For instance, let's pick Hero, and it automatically makes this. So here on the left, you have your standard composition tools, 4K, vertical, square. It changes it for you automatically to fit your composition. You can match your comp, or you can resize your comp to match GridMaker. Here are your gridding tools. So if I click, let's say 4x4, it's going to be a 4x4 grid. Control Z or Command Z to undo that. You can also equalize the cells. From here, you have your new boxes. You can drag in a new box to create a new box, or you can drag in a space to create a space, which is an empty space inside of here. Now within GridMaker, you'll see there's a bunch of hovering things. You can actually grab things and adjust things as you'd like, as you'd expect. Grab the corner, it moves this. A couple of quick features. If I hold Alt and grab a corner, it will round the corner. If I hold Shift and Alt, it will round the whole thing or make it a full square. From here, you have your style properties. This is where you change the gap, change your margins, and also your corners of everything at once. Next, we have our animation. So I want a slide in animation. I want a zoom out 3D, direction from, let's do bottom left, and travel from subtle instead of off frame. Duration 1.37 seconds, stagger 0.2 seconds. So we scroll back on our timeline, hit play or preview animation, and this is what it would do on screen. Let's move this one up to see it go out quickly. And this is your in and out points, as you can see. So I can move this around, and this is where it's going to start. So preview. I want this animation to take longer. I want them to be uniform timing, so it's going to scale out very slowly. We could turn off uniform timing, so we can actually change this, make this one shorter, move it down our timeline. We can change the length of this entire composition if we so choose by grabbing this and moving it back and forth, or just typing in a time. We can actually choose the in and out timing by numbers if we want, or just use the little pull handles right here. We can do by box number, so it does go 3, 2, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can also separate the out order and choose something else. We can do center out, which is going to be them centering out, in and out. You can completely customize these things. Feel free to ask me questions on what you can do, and feel free to ask about new features. From here, we can select our layers, which I have a couple of layers selected in After Effects of a bunch of different videos. We can hit apply to selection, and there it is, our in. Scroll down our timeline, it's a 3D out, and it goes out, just like so. Now back to GridMaker, we're going to go over 3D Spatial. So 3D Spatial is it gridding around a 3D point. So we have our grids here. We can choose our composition format. We can pre-comp our boxes, grid controller. We want those turned on. Those are in actually every option. We want a grid controller that is created. We want to choose how many boxes are going to get created. Let's do 10. We want the shape of our spatial grid to go through sphere, but this is ring and carousel. As you can see, it does this. And if I click this, and let's say I wanted this to be our final comp, I hit create new comp. As you can see, it's a one-to-one creation from GridMaker. We want our tiles to be one-to-one. We want the radius of this to be about here. We want the size of each little tile to be about this size. And we want to zoom it in here so it actually goes off screen or on screen. It doesn't matter. We want them to face our camera, or you can make it not face the camera. Your choice. The animation, we want it to spin. Here's tumble, swing, and float, which is kind of like a bouncy type thing. But we just want it to spin. The speed, the in, we don't want any animation in, but if you were to watch it, it would be like this. So none for us, and then the out animation, the order is random because there's no animation, so it doesn't matter. So let's get 10 pieces of footage and apply this grid. And real quick, I'm actually inserting footage through our application called Sourcer, which is a free stock footage sourcing tool just to insert footage into your timeline. Same thing as Giffer, which inserts GIFs. So here we want to select all of our layers and then hit apply to selection. And there we go. We've built our spatial grid inside of After Effects. I've already pre-rendered this so we can see what it looks like, but it plays back great around our thing. Looks just like it. Now back to GridMaker, we want to try out path mode. So here's path mode. As expected, it makes paths inside of GridMaker. We want to do an HD composition. Let's match our composition actually. We want to do 10 boxes. Now shape preset's really cool. So what this does is you can choose a shape preset, which is circle, square. Well, it's kind of not perfect square, but star, wave, or spiral. Let's go back to circle, but we want to actually import a shape or a path from After Effects. Let's do a new composition inside of After Effects. Let's take our pen tool and just draw like a crazy like zigzag line. And GridMaker with the shape selected inside of After Effects, we just get to shape preset from After Effects and import After Effects. And there you go. We've imported our new shape, which is this, and it's going to do a pathing because you can't rotate all the way around everything because there's no points to connect. But if it was like a full connection, it would work totally fine. But we want to go back to shape preset and make a circle. We want the animation to be travel along or layout, which means it doesn't move anywhere. And we want the speed to be about right here, goes a little faster. Spread, assemble, no in and out animation, but you can see that if we were to scale up, it would work totally fine. Scale, 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 scale. And those are pretty cool. And then we want to apply this. So let's actually go back to our composition that we want to apply it to. Click Comp 3. Back in path mode, we want to select all of our layers and then apply to selection. And there you have it. That is our circle path. And just like when you create paths like this, you have a null controller that controls the size of your grids, your corners, just to fine tune things if it doesn't look exactly right, and you're good to go. And just for kicks and giggles, let's go back to 3D Spatial. Let's do a sphere. And actually, let's jack up the number of spatial grids there are to make a real sphere. And there is 40 boxes. You can actually type in more if you'd like. Let's type in 120. There's a ton to make us an actual sphere of footage. We can do the radius to make it a little bigger, make it a 4K composition. Actually, let's do HD because it's going to render like crazy. I'm going to create a new composition from this as our final piece and let it render out. As you can see on my screen here, it is creating the layers behind the scenes. Now, if you do a ton of boxes, it will take some time. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that this is a super fast process always. I'm never going to lie to any of our users about that. This does take a little bit of time. It gives you a little load box. This will go away when it's finished. And we're about halfway through right now. So the double amount of time of me talking and it'll be done. And we're going to cut here and now it's done. And we are done. It took about a minute, I'd say, maybe a minute and a half, but I was just kind of looking at my phone. And let's check out what I made. And here it is. It is our 3D sphere with 120 layers. I can hear my computer fan spinning up because there's so many layers. But let's render out like 3 seconds of this. And here you go, not too long. Now, again, if you had 120 layers of footage and applied to all your layers, it would put them in the boxes automatically for you. Otherwise, it made a pretty good sphere. And it is all based on geometry and the null, so you can totally just grab the null and change the animation. You don't have to follow any of the presets. You can turn off animation entirely and use the null as your center control. As you can see, if I move the Z-axis, it moves. So a lot of control for the user there. Otherwise, that's GridMaker. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think. If you have a feature or request or something's not working correctly, feel free to reach out to me directly. You can also join our Discord channel at filmit.io/Discord and talk to me directly, just at Max. And feel free to try GridMaker for free and all of our other tools. You can install GridMaker through the Filmit Studio suite. Right here, GridMaker version 2.0. We may have a new version by now. You can install GridMaker from right here. Just click the little install button. Now, if you ever have any problems, just click the GridMaker card. You can report a bug or request a feature or join Discord from here. And the same thing from in-app. If you have any problems, you can click the little settings button right here. Opens up the Filmit.io request a feature support buttons. You can also join the Discord.